The other thing to do is to point to this, to point to 120,000 people, because that also helps tell your story about the relevance of what you're doing. Is like, well, we're mini because if you don't know about it, Maker Faire in Bay Area is 120,000 people, and New York is 60,000 people, and probably this will be 100,000 people. So like to kind of use that as a way to just support yourself. Because I know it can be hard, and maybe we'll get out of it.
I think that was when I talked to the journalists that came to the festival, and I asked them, why did you come? And they said, yeah, I'm a smoking can, always big smoking can, like that. And they also said, it was something about the world's largest convention festival, or something like that.
World's largest show and tell.
Yeah, exactly. Then they started to get interested. So it's really important to connect what you're doing there, just what's going on in the world. It's a world movement, it's spreading. And for us, it was also the first in Scandinavia, which we can use. So
I think that the strategy is having the educational opportunity. It's an opportunity for kids to be inspired to learn new things. So working with the city, we get them involved with libraries, we get the schools involved. Libraries are usually a great channel into the schools. If you try to go direct to the schools, you're going to wind up hitting a brick wall because they get solicited by lots of people trying to get information in digital backpacks, etc. But if you can really make it about the community educational offering opportunity, then it tends to have a lot more reach on bloggers and community event calendars that are specific to what family activities are available in your region. Tend to work pretty well as well.
then why not do it in the science center? I mean, that's really so much easier to make the experience in the science center. I mean,
That's paved the path for us, yeah.
We used 3 months at the beginning, just the 3 months in the time we worked to do everything. It was it was easy because I had the whole infrastructure. And then insurance is no problem. All the security stuff we have to care about, it's no problem. There's cafeteria there. So using a science center, and they also have their own internal communication people who can do the communication for them. They have the channels, that direct channels to the schools and the school kids. So it's a lot of work to say about it.
But when you went to these people, like in coming back to our purpose in this session about how to explain what a Maker Faire is, like going to these folks, how did you get what was going to happen across to them?
By explaining that it was a great opportunity for the kids to come see great things that are happening with robotics, different tool demonstrations, electronics, LED lighting, all from like Lego, robotics, and all of that. Really constructive work.
We're trying to make We're trying to make child makers part of our go-to-market strategy of emphasizing the stories of child makers.
Well, so
Yeah,
so telling.
as opposed to people who make children. Right.
Well, so what are the best, so young makers, roboticists, I mean,
Kits is something a lot of
kids.
DIY kits. That's something it's out there. It's on the market.
So I will say that, to the way, I mean, that is also how Maker Faire built this show. We don't have a big advertising budget. It's not, we don't spend money on marketing. We don't spend money on TV. We don't spend money, I mean, we do media trades, and there's a bunch of this in the, media sponsorships where you go to, media outlets and you agree to basically reference them and have their logo. But the other, I mean, again, mirroring the modern age, telling stories is what we did in the first place to make the magazine. And telling those stories and leveraging social media hard is really the other opportunity. And even and I'll say this over and over again, every single meeting I do with the people who want to do mini Maker Faires, The data has shown from the surveys last year that most people find out about the minis not through Facebook, not through the blogs, but from other makers. And so, like, really telling that story of doing maker profiles, because the makers will share it with their community as soon as you do a maker profile. So you're not only building an asset that explains what a maker fair is in the best way possible, because you're showing what a maker is and how inspiring and cool they are, but you're also, it's like this multi-point effort, because you're also giving them attention back. They can share it. Their audience comes to it. It's a dialectic of a strategy of telling that story. So, this is the cornerstone of how Maker Faire is built itself. Is telling maker stories. So, whatever way that is. I thought the short commercial, you got yours. It's part of, we've done little spots for the East Bay Mini Maker Faire, but to some extent, it's really you can put all this energy into it, and if they're not as good as what you just did, they can kind of fall flat, and it's hard, so that's hard.
That's where you're going. The videos are so important. They are. If you're producing one of these, find a quality filmmaker, someone who can really produce great videos, and those videos should be inspiring. As much as possible. That's what I've found. And pay them. If you've got a budget for anything, pay the videographer.
See, I would say pay the maker. I would say fund incredible anchor exhibits, blow people's mind out the gate, bring an amazing thing to bear, and let other people do the videos. They'll do it for you on social media. And because as soon as you blow their mind with something they've never seen before, that you'll never forget it, your event's going to double the next year.
There's also something I found, a good number of the makers that might be out here already, some of them have video footage of what they're doing already.
Yeah.
Don't forget to ask them for that.
Right. That's in the applications. So again, going back to that data that you collect, and
I have a question about something we've thought about doing, and we don't know whether it'll be effective, but we were planning on trying to put together some shorts, some very, very short segments in video, because we felt that we're getting approached for earned media by media outlets, and we think that it's going to be a lot more effective if we can give them something to show in a broadcast or on their websites. That they whenever you don't pay them. So usually news media or other communities that often carry new content. And so I come from politics, so in politics we talk a lot about that. But essentially, if you make it short, if you make it really, really focused, and if it tells a story, and the people who are advising us, who have done other events, have told us that that's a good way to get media outlets to pick it up and display it for you.
okay, and then the other thing I feel like I'm monopolizing it, but I think this is also a big part of it is juxtaposition with your media. So that is a big part of Maker Faire, is the surprise and the range of content. So if you go from a honeybee person to a crazy robot that destroys things, to a kid learning to solder, you just blow it apart every time. Every juncture should go in each direction. And then you're also telling the story about the diversity of
This is probably something very obvious, but something I had to do a lot of times was to tell stories about inclusion. Well, it's not only 3D printers, it's not only robots, it's not only electronics, it's also, I have to fill in the gaps for everybody. And that will happen to different types of people that thought it was different, so I have to correct it all the time. But I think that worked to tell these stories about inclusion. You could also come, And then we had costume designers and all these, perhaps people that wouldn't have done.
I think this just want to add something on this one. Makers. We have this one guy who was 8 years old, and he made a 3D printer with his father, this picture of this kits that he built. And we sent out to the media this press release. We mentioned him as one of the makers. They called us and said, "Yeah, I want to do this on children's TV." that was really popular and just amazing, you know. I think that's really incredible. They are the heroes. And, when young kids can do stuff like that with their family, that's
There's a lot of the maker profiles for Maker Faire, so like look at the website and you'll get ideas of the kind of formats that tend to work over and over again. And that's kind of what she does. And she has a way, I actually wanted her to come today, but she will just send out the questions through email, and she has a way of doing it. It's not even a live interview. She does it, has them write. And so, like, you know, it gives them an option of a range of questions they can pick. So then, you know, you get like, what was a really, you know, one person answered a question about what was a really influential book or a piece of reading or media that changed their, you know, it can be different things.
It's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's what they call it on Makescene. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 about so and so, and it's kind of a profile template that she uses.
Interesting. And that's something you have available?
Yeah, I mean, we could do a hangout with her, or she could do so let's just put this like, actually this is something I wanted to do here. So what are the things that I need to take back to my team that you guys need? You know, like for me, this general, like some sort of more general video about what is Maker Faire is something we need to do. Yeah.
But I think maybe also certain template spreadsheets would be kind of cool too, like for managing. That's very close.
Well, that's so obvious, and they feel really tied to what their workflow is, and then other people are just like.
But if you make a space for all of us to contribute to, then the people can choose, right?
Well, but it's so freeform though. I mean, there seems like there's tons and tons of details, and you could kind of say, okay, what's the detail on this, right? And how kind of explode.
Well, let's stick with this topic though. Let's stick with how to tell the story. Right. I think definitely a more developed production plan would be helpful, because then you can pick and choose. It should stimulate ideas of the stuff you need to do that you never thought about, and it should kind of be exhaustive in terms of the list of things you can do, and then you do some of them, right?
Really effectively centralized is, it seems to me that there's a branding called Maker Faire for exactly that question. And like, probably the answer can vary from place to place. Really, hopefully there's going to be one good answer. And I kind of think we're like brainstorming lots and lots of stuff, and we all have ideas and ways to approach this. I feel like it's really handy to have, okay, here is, you know, the description that you can use for Maker Faire that makes sense to people who are makers. To get to and so on. And then you can then build on it. I feel like there's like a really sort of a central, there's an investment there that could be centralized.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've been, you know, tagging material from, you know, the Maker website, some places, and we've been making stuff out of the phone, but I feel like a really strong investment in getting the really clear vision statement. What is a Maker Faire? Why should you come? Here's the one sentence description. Here's the paragraph. Here's the page.
You know what's interesting is that it's culturally, it's really a challenge for us. We change it every year. We change taglines every year, and it's constantly inventing. We're like, the World's Greatest Show and Tell came out last year, and then this year, Bridget was like, I don't know, not really feeling it. And I mean, but I don't know, you know, like, it's our challenge. You know, one's greatest faults are their greatest assets in the same way, right? It's like that.
You're involving, but is the communal mind's understanding of what you're doing also?
Yeah, right. So vision state, like almost like a sample, like a sample marketing kit. You know.
Yeah,
And sponsorship. I mean, those are the two pieces. One's marketing, one's about sponsorship, and they're overlapping. But
well, we do have a sponsor template that's almost done, like a sponsor.
Oh, good.
the press kit template actually would be really, really useful.
Oh, good.
One of the things that I have to
They
do
have that
tonight
coming.
is write a set of quotes for a story on Monday, right? So.
Well, I can't, you know, no one can put a quote in.
No, I'm not saying that. But my point
I would
is.
agree to it. Sorry.
No,
I would agree to. I think that the vision statement's too broad. I think they're really like distinct topics almost. What you mentioned. There's something you have to tell to sponsors. There's something you have to tell to the media for there's something you have to tell to find the makers, there's something to bring the people, to the visitors later to the fair. And I think all will need a different message, because to bring a visitor here, you will tell them something different than to find a maker. Also the timing, you look for the makers much earlier. So that, I mean, we are just investigating how to set it up. But for me, it would help so much if I had a timeline where you say, look, if you want to be safe 6 months before it, you start to talk to makers and you explain it this way. Then, to sponsors, you need to tell them X, Y, Z. What are the benefits?
One thing that would be very useful, just to bring what you said, is I think this is impossible. But if the chief of Intel could say that, well, we sponsor Maker Faire because blah blah
Yes.
blah, then I think
Yes,
the
yes,
sponsors
yes,
well,
yes.
tell them that, you know, that would
Yes.
be great. We need those five.
That's a good
Follow the leader. Follow the
Get
leader.
us,
Yeah, and then say, okay,
the Google guys.
Google, if Google does it, then I have to do it.
We have some. We have some quotes. We need to pull that together.
Sergey Brin says, if you don't come to Maker Faire, you suck. Yeah, you know, it's
If you're not there, you're nowhere.
So you guys, there is that there in the Dropbox toolkit. There is what did I call them? They're called the. There's the white paper from the Innovation Summit that has
that was
quotes
awesome.
in it. And there's also the press kit, the media kit from last year. So which is kind of outrageous. The media kit is like mind blowing. So as physical assets, those two things are things you can share with sponsors. There's a press kit in the I think it's called Ammunition. The folder is Ammunition, Maker Faire Ammunition. And so that was our biggest leap forward this year.
That's the when we try to get international press interest, we actually use the citation from international media.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal says
But to pick up, this is also where I think you need different. For example, for the makers, I want Steve Jobs to say, I was a maker. Look what I'm now. And then for a sponsor, I might, and for sponsors, I might want to say, we are Google and we sponsor this because X, Y, Z. So if you have, this is what I mean. I think there's really distinct groups you want to talk to at different points of time with different outcomes. And if maybe you have it already and some people haven't seen it because it's somewhere in the folder.
Very valuable. They are not the money.
Yes.
So that's get them. We'll get them.
Who?
I go get those citations from.
Yeah, that translates for us.
Yeah.
Or
I have a feeling a lot of these things are out there. Part of, I think, what needs to happen is just to consolidate them in a very simple manner.
Yeah. Well,
Because-
somebody could go do an exercise of pull quotes from the press kit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you could literally just go through the press kit and you could pool what are the best quotes. You know, I mean, everybody's doing it on their own. It's out there. I didn't do it. And those are the kinds of like next steps on things that I find they're out there. And I find it very hard to get to get there. You know. So those are the things where we could pool our.
I do feel like one thing that's kind of missing from this, though, is the notion that there are people out there who are like really, really, really good at this, like 1,000 times better than me, and maybe better than any of us here that I don't know who's an expert in this sort of stuff. And I just feel like it would be really valuable as an investment if somehow or other we could get access to the thinking of those people, even if it's just for a few hours, because then that could be replicated everywhere. Does that make sense? I feel like we're all investing a little piece in this, when really it would be better to central big investment.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm an amateur at this stuff, and I have to do it all the time. And I know that I'm not really good at it. And that if I had somebody fantastic for 2 hours, that I'd pay $10,000 for their 2 hours, it might even be worth it.
what are you talking about as an output? For example, a sponsorship presentation where you say, look, let's use a professional firm, let's create a template, and then we just.
Something like that, yeah. And I'm not saying that because someone costs more that they're better, but rather that they really are.
No, I understand, but I mean, it makes sense if you have a professional company that puts together whatever.
well, we do have a sponsor template that's almost about ready to roll out. I think that the press kit template is something we could work on. There is, we could certainly do the production timeline more. The quotes we could do. There's certainly and I think thinking about the quotes that you can use along these lines are really helpful.